Michael Gilbert of Flotsam and Jetsam. Welcome to 69 Face of Rock. How are you doing today?
I am doing great, Mark. Thanks for having me today, and I'm looking forward to the interview and talking about some metal and maybe some I Am the Weapon today.
Excellent. And that's the main focus. Here's I Am the Weapon. Congratulations on this album. It's truly fantastic record. Tell me about the writing sessions for this record.
Oh, thank you very much. Writing, we pretty much got it down as a finely tuned machine. Steve Conley, the other guitar player, and I usually come up with the guitar riffs that start the song, that spawn it off, and we demo it out. It's almost a full demo before we send it to Ken and AK and see if they can do work their magic on it and put like some killer drums and then some super killer choruses and vocals over the top of it. And we between Steve and I, we usually come up with about 25 songs a piece for those guys to kind of pick through and see what they can finish strongly with. And on I Am the Weapon, we seem to have the right recipe for the metal fans. They're digging it. We're getting lots of good reviews off of this one, so we're super happy.
Which kind of brings me to my follow-up question. The record is getting great reviews. Everyone I talk to loves it. So how driven were you while making it?
That's the thing because it's always Blood in the Water was one of my favorite records that we've ever done. So we were trying to top that. And it's a little bit scary going into that because you never want to make a record subpar to the prior record you just did. So we were all a little worried about that, but after we got it back from mix, we are pretty happy with it. It sounded great, and the songs had a good flow. And the thing is, it had a lot of energy and it was raging. So, you know, uh, I guess we did our job on that.
I listened to it in the morning in my car while going to work, and it was still raging.
Oh, in the morning. That is not a morning record at all. That's
It's a
something you
good
got to.
wake-up record.
Oh my God. Yeah. It will wake you up.
Why the title I Am the Weapon?
Well, that's a great question because we were going to call it something else. And it didn't seem like it was like working as a follow-up to Blood in the Water with the title that we were using. So actually AFM Records came in and said, "Hey, why don't you call it I Am the Weapon?" It was one of the tracks on the record, and we thought about it, and we're like, well, we're not sure if that's the strongest track or not, and it turned out it worked out pretty good because people like that song, and it turned out a lot stronger than we thought. I guess when we're in the writing bubble, it's really hard to gauge what we're doing and what the audience around our bubble hears, because of course we always want to make it as perfect as possible and as raging and as much energy and vibe as we can possibly get in there. And when you're in that bubble, you can't always hear that. So that's it kind of magical, I guess, for us when we were done with it because we were all kind of surprised after mix.
That makes sense. Um, what are the songs mainly about on this album?
Um, you know, that's a great question because I take different things from it and other people take different things than what I do. I kind of like to keep AK and Ken doing their vocal thing. Um, a lot of it's about what's going on in AK's mind and his experiences and stuff like that. And Ken kind of writes the same way. Well, maybe not so much about his experiences, but he writes about things that happen, current events. He's really good at the current event stuff, and with AK and his psychotic state, he writes some pretty good lyrics too. So.
Oh, he sure does. Instrumentally, which tracks appeal to you the most?
Oh, the opener, New Kind of Hero is probably my favorite one on the record. Either that or I like Running Through the Shadows. I like that one a lot. I don't know. I like all of them actually. My favorite one though is probably the opening track, just because it digs in right away and it punches you in the face right from the get go.
I was about to say that it does have a strong punch. I felt that this morning. Also, you have a quite solid and stable lineup, right? Do you think you finally found the right people to keep this going?
Yes, I've always said throughout the years we've been kind of the cheap trick of metal with bass players. We keep going through bass players like crazy, but Bill Bodley is the guy. he's an exceptional bass player. He's a good dude to hang out with. He writes great music. Um, and yeah, the lineup is working really good. You know, we've had this lineup for the past pretty much for the past 5 or 6 years. I know there was another bass player involved, but he really wasn't involved. That's why he's not here anymore. And Bill Bodley was taking up his uninvolvement, I guess we can say. I'm trying to be politically correct on the whole thing, you know. But yeah, the lineup is killer. I'm super proud of these guys and the work they've done on it. And it's been a great experience, you know.
Mhm. Um, Ever since that self-titled Flotsam and Jetsam album in 2016, it feels like a new phase of the band had begun. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, that's kind of when it started. We got Bittner in the band. Jason Bittner was playing drums on that, and that's when things started to really start to ramp up, you know. And what a great drummer that dude is. And you know, he's now back with Shadows Fall. He was in Overkill for a while, so hats off to him for being back in Shadows Fall as well. And then when he decided to move on to Overkill, we got Ken Mary, who is a freaking monster on the drums. I mean, if you're listening to that shit when you're waking up in the morning, I, I don't know. And did you spill your coffee?
I actually don't drink coffee. The Flotsam was my coffee.
Well, yeah. So Ken like just does these raging parts. Like he's a monster. He's a total monster. I like to call him the Swiss Army knife of our band, you know, because he does it all. He's a world class producer. He's a world class drummer. He's a super nice guy, and he's funny. That's kind of a requirement for this band. You got to kind of be funny and have a good sense of humor because there's a lot of jokes flying around, and
Oh
if
yeah,
got to have some thick
I've been
skin.
around you guys for some time, so I know exactly what's going on. You may recall an interview that I actually you weren't there. It was the other guitar player. He's no longer in the band, but there was an interview done in Illinois that somebody else filmed, and you guys had like a lot of laughter with that.
Oh, is
Um,
that was with Ed?
yeah,
Ed
yeah, yeah.
Carlson? Oh
Mhm.
yeah. He's a
Yeah.
funny dude, man.
Oh,
Yeah,
he
I like
was. He definitely delivered. Um, Getting back to our team here, not only are the last four albums very consistent musically, but there's a visual theme that unites them all, right? The band logo is consistent, the fantasy drawings, it all comes across like very focused. How do you feel about that?
I feel like it's coming together finally because I had a huge issue with that before the self-titled album because we had a bunch of logos and the band was kind of all over the place. It's kind of having a bit of an identity crisis. And I think that doesn't look good to your audience. And I think it makes it really hard for your audience to latch on and feel close to your band, you know. So we went back to our roots with the old logo, same logo as when Newstead was back in the band, and then the lizard. He was gone for a while too. I call him a lizard, but he's Flotzilla.
Mhm.
He was gone for a while too, but the European fans they were kind of complaining about it just prior to the self-titled. So we brought Flotzilla back and kind of modernized him a little. And he's behind me right now, making sure I don't say anything wrong. Um, and we revitalized him, and everybody seems to like him. And you know,
Yeah, long live Flotsilla. Do you feel that actually, can I mention that in the past, the image aspect of the band left a lot of fans confused every now and then?
yeah, I think it did. Identity Crisis is a pretty good, along with some of the music too. The music was all over the map, uh, and I think we were just we have a lot of influences, you know, with the past players. Everybody's got, and the same with with us now. We all have a lot of influences, but we're more consistent now than we've ever been, I would say.
Yeah,
Uh,
and in the Iron Maiden kind of way, this makes a lot of sense visually.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just cool to look at, you know, and you kind of wonder. I mean, my take on it is it kind of goes back to our roots. It's almost like the first record where Flotzilla's he's killing the devil on it, and you know what's he doing on this? You know, who's he talking to? What's going on here? You know, it kind of leads you know, like into something else. They're like the next record probably.
This was the right move all the way through. What plans do you have to promote this new album?
Oh, geez. We got extensive touring coming up. They're working out some stuff for the springtime in the United States. The next show that we're doing is 70,000 tons of metal, and up until then, it's all press, and we might have a couple of fly-in dates prior to that, or maybe an Arizona date and a Los Angeles date. I don't know yet. We're still working on it. But then 2025, springtime in the United States, summertime in Europe again. They're already booking the festivals. So hopefully we can get this out to some more people and it doesn't just stick with the Flotsam fans. I've had a lot of fans come up to me and say, "Oh, you guys you guys got a new record. We didn't even know you had a new record out," which is that's alarming, to hear something like that. But I hope it gets out to the masses to where everybody knows we got something out.
Yeah, well, I mean, this album needs to be heard, period.
Oh, thank
Mm.
you.
How many of these new songs do you plan to include in your set list?
We are revamping our set list because we want to be a modern metal band. Of course, we've got the classic stuff. That's what got us here in the first place. But we've got new music that we're very proud of, and we want to, like I said, we want to get that out to the masses. So we're restructuring our set to maybe only do a couple of the classic songs. And I hope that doesn't disappoint anybody. But I think if people listen to some of the newer stuff, that those have some potential classic characteristics as well. And I would really just love to play mostly maybe 80% newer material.
I would definitely love to hear those songs live. Um, let's talk some history maybe. Eric and yourself had been in the band for what, nearly 40 years as a
Oh,
recording artist. What would you
yeah.
say motivates you to still make records and quality records at that?
I can't even. There was a time I took a hiatus from the band. I had some health issues and I had some family stuff I needed to take care of, and plus the band really wasn't working out the way I wanted it to with the management stuff like that. So I took a few years off, but it's in my blood, man. I had to come back, and I have to do it. And I even look at it now, it being my age and the longevity of this band, and I'm forever grateful that we're still here. Uh, and I feel very fortunate. But there would be a time where it'll end, not anytime soon, but I can't even imagine that. Like I can't even put that in my head. Like what would it be like not to be playing in this band or not to be playing guitar or something like that? I When people say I've got metal in my blood, I think I truly do, man. I think the rest of our guys do too. I speak on behalf of the whole band.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm trying to think back to when was the first time I did see a band, and it goes back to a little place called the Thirsty Whale in River Grove back in
Oh,
1988.
and that's in Chicago.
Yeah, that's Chicago suburb, immediate Chicago suburb. And that was the first time I ever did see you. And then I think I saw you again, second time opening for, was it King Diamond?
Probably
Possibly?
King Diamond. We did probably 3 or 4 tours with King Diamond. We've done a lot of shows with him. But the
Mm.
Whale, man, we only played the Whale once, and that's too bad that place doesn't exist anymore. That was a fun show. I still remember it.
That was
That was-
actually my old neighborhood. When I went to high school, the bus would drive by the way every single day. And now it's down to a McDonald's and a gas station.
Wow. They should bring the Whale back.
I'm sure there are plenty of people who would love that. Um, like you just mentioned, right? It was recently reported that, some time ago you were able to beat cancer, right? Um, very impressive. What perspective did this fact give you as a person and as an artist?
Man, it did a lot of stuff for me, because uh, it's emotional, like I didn't think I wasn't even sure if I was going to live, what they gave me, they weren't sure what was really going on. I had a history of ulcerative colitis to begin with, and that's what led up to it. And again, I have to say I'm very grateful to even be playing in the band after stuff like that. My mental perspective, I sometimes lose it, take for granted that I'm still here and I do stupid stuff every once in a while, but then I gotta, there's always something that puts me in check about it later and go, God, I'm being an idiot, like sometimes I don't eat always healthy like I should, you know, I'm still pretty active for my age and my bones are a little more brittle than before,
Yeah,
but I'm grateful that I'm here and I'm lucky. I've got a lot of support. There's a lot of love around me for sure.
that's great. And life would be boring without stupid stuff.
Tell me about it.
All right, digging really deep. At one point, you had Jason Newsted, who was a big part of Flotsam and Jetsam. Of course, he went on to great things with Metallica. But do you still maintain any kind of relationship with Jason?
Yeah, I do. I talk to him every once in a while, a couple times a year, just to check up on each other. Me and that dude have a lot of chemistry as far as songwriting and stuff like that. And there was a time where he thought he might come back. It didn't really work out. Just before Ugly Noise, that record, he thought he might come back, but it didn't work out, which is okay, And then he did the Newstead Metal thing, and he asked me to join that, but it didn't work out for me. So it's like we keep missing each other on stuff. So maybe one of these days, we'll get together and make some more music together. I don't know.
That would be fantastic, especially since you already made some plans to somewhat reunite in one way or the other. Why not?
Yeah, at least if he ever, gets the Newstead Metal project back together, maybe do some dates with them or something like that. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And what are your memories from the early days during Doomsday for the Deceiver, which will be again celebrating what 40 years in about 2 years now, right?
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty fun, man. I was a junior in high school, so I ended up leaving and going for going over to Los Angeles, which it's an 8 hour or 7 hour drive from here, and you know, I I was thinking, oh my God, I'm in a Los Angeles recording studio. I'm looking out the window. Capitol Records is right there. Like all my dreams are coming true as I'm making this record. I'm thinking I'm going to be a rock star and all this stuff. So it was just classic Hollywood back in the 80s. Uh, Iconic time in music, and super glad to be a part of all that stuff. I didn't even realize it was going to be history, in the making, which is pretty cool too. It gives me a big old smile I put on my face.
It's definitely a historic album and still respected by metal fans worldwide.
Yeah, and I'm super grateful for that.
Finally, if you were able to pinpoint like a defining moment for Flotsam and Jetsam, what would it be?
Ooh, okay. There's a lot of defining moments, but I think
Name a few.
right, yeah, right off, okay, right off the bat, I think playing Wacken is a big one, because that and Hellfest, I mean, they're kind of it's kind of the mecca of metal, and it's the Super Bowl pretty much, so to get invited to play that and go do it and step out and there's 90,000 people out in the crowd, you're just kind of going, whoa, what the heck is going on here? Uh, that's a defining moment when it puts in perspective all the work that you've done. Oh, that people appreciate it. And uh, yeah, I mean, usually the shows are defining moments. Uh, the fact that our tour bus caught on fire and we didn't, that was a defining moment too. Uh, yeah, it, we're you can't kill this band. We're not going to go away. You can light us on fire. You can. There's all kinds of stuff that's happened to us. So,
Well, fantastic. Once again, congratulations on this great record. I'm sure it's gonna do wonders for you, and hopefully you can take it out to the masses and people will hear it and appreciate it for what it is. Um,
oh, thank you, Mark.
thank you so much for speaking with me, and good luck with the upcoming tours.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you for having me. I hope to see you out there, and whatever, when where are you located? You're in Europe, right?
No, I'm actually in Chicago. I'm a European who lives in the States.
Oh, okay. So then we'll see you in the springtime then.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, yeah. That tour's in the making right now. So I don't know why I thought you were in Europe. What the heck is up with that?
Well, it's a good impression, right? Isn't it?
But yeah, in the springtime, there's something brewing right now that it should be pretty good for the band and for this record. Hopefully, it'll get out to the more of the masses if everything gets followed up on correctly. So,
Perfect. I hope all of it will happen, and good luck.
Mark, thank you so much.